What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Mind Hiking Podcast. I'm your host, Brody Frye, and I also got...
his co-host, Stefie Frye.
Yeah, I just give you the quick look. There's a disclaimer that I have to say, because I remembered.
I was going to remember it for you.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So I did a spoiler alert, and I said that I'd put it in the opener. But we were talking about the Fallout TV show. So, yeah.
If you haven't watched... I don't even know what episode.
That was episode 1.
It was the first episode?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you haven't watched the first episode, then be cautious because Brody spoils part of it.
Yep, I'm sorry.
Just a little tiny part.
If you plan on watching it, just go watch it and then listen to this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
he forgets to give the spoiler alert and just blurts it out.
Yeah, I just blurted it out. So I'm doing the spoiler alert now. So
we should just put like a beep over it, like a meep, like if you say a bad word.
Yep. Yeah. People just think I just have like a sentence long swear there.
I love it.
All right. Well, this is a crazy episode. You know, just give us a little rundown of what it's about.
Yeah, it's super crazy. It's a little bit heavy, a little bit intense at some points.
Yeah,
it's about a plane crash survivor. So just if you have a fear of flying or something, maybe skip on this epi. Or don't.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a really great story. It's really tragic and really interesting. So yeah.
And you did an amazing job with the research.
Thank
This is
you.
I think this is your most thoroughly and detailed episode you've done.
I am very proud of it. I did a lot of research. I really dedicated a lot of time to researching this topic.
And normally we have like, oh, okay, thanks for ruining that, Bailey.
I bet it's Dougie.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, good. It's party time.
Party time.
Yeah, but normally we'll have like our episodes and then all of a sudden it'll be like random tangents for the last half of the episode.
We have a few little tangents that go off, but I kept us on track pretty well because I had a lot of information I wanted to cover.
This was on topic pretty much the whole way through.
Yeah.
So very nicely done, Steph. I applaud you.
Thank you so much. So, yeah, everybody who's about to listen to this episode, strap in.
Yes, strap in. Buckle up. Buckle up, everyone.
Mm-hmm. Keep your seatbelts on until I turn off the fasten seatbelt sign.
Yes, exactly. Oh, jeez.
Not good.
Like not good. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. We'll leave it.
Cut it.
All right. Rock on. Hopefully you enjoy. And
peace. No,
that's
the end.
Yeah.
Rock on.
No, that's also the end.
Let's go.
No, I've never said
Stay
that.
tuned.
Yeah. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Brody Frye, and here we dive deep into difficult questions. We'll map out thoughts, theories, and crazy ideas for the love of knowledge and growth. So, how do we answer some of the mind's toughest questions? This is the Mind Hiking Podcast. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
Hi, Steph. How are you?
Good. How are you?
We got Stefie Frye back for another research episode.
Back and better than ever.
Back and better than ever. The most anticipated guest ever. Always requested.
I feel famous.
Yeah, pretty much. Literally everybody asks. And like anytime you talk about the podcast, it's, oh, Stephanie's research episodes. Oh, especially like the Skinwalker episode. It's like,
I know. Was that the first one we did?
Yeah, and I still get a lot of new listeners on that.
Really?
Yeah,
that's so funny.
Yeah, it's crazy. That one's growing a lot.
I love
that episode's doing really well.
I feel like if I go back and listen to that one, I'm gonna be like, this is so terrible.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah,
I didn't know anything.
Yeah, because that was the first interview episode that I did.
Yeah. Oh, all together?
That was the first one that I ever posted, but I recorded. It's kind of funny. I recorded number 7 first. That was the first. That was with JJ.
Oh, okay.
That was the first interview I ever did for the podcast, and then I saved that for 7 because I did 2 bonus episodes that week before, and then I posted yours first, which you were the second interview I ever did.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't actually do any research for that. It was just last minute, like an hour before we recorded it. I was like, let me Google some things.
That one's one of the, it is one of the oldest, obviously. It's episode number 4, but yeah, that one is one of the best episodes that I got.
That's
as
so
far
funny.
As
I need to go back and listen to it so I can judge myself.
I know. I've been thinking about doing a new opener for episode 1 too, because that one's by far the most downloaded. And I just want to be like, welcome. Don't listen to this episode unless you're just going back for nostalgic reasons.
Yeah, like start at the newer one and work your way backwards. If anything,
yeah, literally. I don't know. Yeah, people always go start at episode 1, and then it's like, just don't do that.
I get that because when I listen to new podcasts, I do the same thing.
Yeah,
But
me too.
I don't know.
Yep. Okay. Well, I want to do a quick dedication to Sam, actually, because I know he has got a long drive and he was looking for podcasts to listen to. So we're going to launch this one a little bit early. So, Sam, have a safe drive. We love you. Thanks for your support. And
this one's for you.
This one's for you. All right. So, what are we talking about today?
Okay. So, today, I feel like... So, we kind of gave, like, a little bit... I know it was so far away now, but... Our last episode that we recorded together, we gave, like, a little bit of a teaser about it.
Yeah, we haven't had you on in a long time.
I know. I don't even remember when it's been. It was...
I'm looking it up.
Yeah. I don't even know. I don't even remember what we talked about in the last episode, honestly.
But we did talk about this topic, and we're like, oh, we got to do this our next one.
Yeah. I think the last one we did was, like, the Loch Ness Monster one. Was that? I think... Or was that... No, or was it Flight... I don't even remember, whatever, in the Bermuda Triangle.
There was a...
Flight 19 in the Bermuda Triangle one.
You got one, episode number 101, actually. I'm surprised. But that one is...
Oh, was that the one when I was hammied? We just dilly-dallied the whole time?
Yeah,
and
I think so.
dilly-dally ghost came out for us?
Yeah, probably. Probably, yeah. Because it has you and it has Katie.
Yep.
So I think she might have been there for the opener, and then... Yeah, it just says in randomness and nonsense in the description. So yeah, that
sounds
that's
about right.
That one.
I think that's the night that I drank that whole bottle of wine. Remember that?
Oh yeah. I gotta listen to that one again. I have so many episodes now that it's actually fun going back listening to all the old ones.
I struggle to listen to our episodes unless it's one that I'm like really proud of because I know how monotone my voice is, and I feel like I don't know. It's just weird listening to my own voice. Yeah. So
well, it's been like.
Thank you.
It's been gonna be 30 or 29, 28 episodes since you were on last. So
dang, it's been a while. Okay, well, for those of you who don't remember, in our last episode, I think actually it might have been even the one before that.
Oh, the Hoyabachu Forest. That's what it was.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that was episode 86.
Okay.
I forgot about that one too.
Well, one of those episodes, I briefly mentioned that I wanted to talk about a plane crash survivor.
Yes. Your Loch Ness Monster episode actually was another one of the most downloaded episodes.
Really?
Yeah, that one did really well.
That one was mediocre.
I had a lot of people actually say that was their favorite episode.
Oh, okay. I did do a good bit of research on that one, but this one I did so much more.
Yeah, you got a ton here, so I'm excited.
Don't think I've ever done so much research. I listened to multiple podcast episodes on this, and the survivor that we will be talking about has wrote a book called When I Fell from the Sky.
That's crazy.
And I read her book for my information here.
Lots of research.
All of my research I know this time is 100% accurate because I got it straight from the source.
Buckle up. We got a long ride.
Buckle the fuck up. Okay. So, plane crash survivor. Today we are going to be talking about Juliane Kopeke. So I got to start with like a whole background story about her and her childhood first because I feel like it's like super duper important to the whole story.
Okay. First, cheers. Sorry.
Oh shit! Yeah.
What were you drinking? What are you drinking?
Oh, I have my Dogfish Head strawberry and honeyberry vodka lemonade.
Nice.
Cocktail thing.
I got my Mickey Ultra. Cheers.
Nice. Mine's in a can, so it's not as good.
That's okay. All right. Okay. Sorry.
Trying not to get too hammied for this episode because it's hashtag deep.
Yeah, and your hashtag empty stomach.
That too. Okay. So, Juliane Kopeke, she was born in Lima, Peru in 1954 in October. She was born to mother Maria and father Hans.
Lima, Peru. Was that anywhere where you were at?
It was.
Really?
You're spoiling.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
All right. Well, I'll tell my little spoiler early.
Okay. Sorry.
The airport that her plane takes out of that she crashed, I was at that fucking airport.
No way.
Yeah. And I didn't even realize that until probably 2 days ago. And I've been researching this for like 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I was like, I wonder. I was literally sitting with Doug and I was like, I wonder. I was like, is there multiple airports in Lima? And a smaller city.
Yeah.
It's one of the bigger in Peru, because we had to fly into there from Panama.
Yeah.
And take a small little plane.
Okay.
Only like max 100 passengers over to Cusco.
Wow.
I was at the airport.
That is crazy.
So, yeah, I realized that after I was researching this for a while. So
that's wild. That makes this like so much more like powerful.
I know, and I thought that was so crazy. I was like, wow, I didn't even notice that, and I didn't even like mean to do this like story based off that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I realized it while I was searching. So, anyways, yeah. So her mother and her father were both zoologists, specializing in ornithology, which is the study of birds.
Okay, that's cool.
They both worked at Lima's Museum of Natural History. And then, so when Juliana was only 14 years old, they left Lima to establish the Penguana Research Station in the Amazon rainforest, which was still in Peru. It was just in, like, the jungles of Peru.
The Penguana?
Yeah. Penguana Research Center.
Is that like the research of penguins in the Amazon?
No, unfortunately not. Penguana is like the area. I think it was like the jungle that they were in.
Gotcha.
So they lived in the jungle. They took her out of school. They lived in the jungle for like 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And they just like kind of homeschooled her through there.
Okay, so she actually had some experience. Okay.
Yeah, so she said that they taught her like survival skills and like all there was to know about the wildlife and the plant life of the jungle in Peru.
Okay.
And then when she was 17, her school had told her that if she didn't return back to regular school, that she wasn't going to be able to graduate.
Oh, wow.
So her parents stayed at the research center and continued their research. And she went back to Lima and stayed with a family friend and continued her schooling. And then on December 23rd of 1971, she graduated. Her mother had flown back to see her, and she wanted Juliana to return to Penguana with her on the 19th or the 20th of December.
Okay.
And Juliana was like, no, I want you to stay for my graduation ceremony. So her mom agreed to that, and then they planned to fly back on December 24th on Christmas Eve of 1971.
Gotcha.
All flights were booked up except for one flight with LANSA Airlines. LANSA had a terrible track record. So her father, Hans, was trying to get them to take a different flight and was like, it doesn't matter if you have to wait there like another day or two, like this airline sucks, like do not get on this flight.
Yeah. What do you mean track record?
I'll get into it. So they were like, he was like, do not get on this flight. Like, I don't want you getting on this flight. And Maria, his wife, really wanted to get home for Christmas the next day. And she was like, I'm not going to fly back on Christmas or the day after. And Maria, his wife, literally said, quote, to him, not all planes are going to crash. Like, right before they got on this flight. So then we go into...
Oopsies.
Yeah. So LANSA, it was flight 508, had 6 crew members and 86 passengers, including Juliana. I wasn't going to include this because this doesn't really mean much, but if Zotes is listening, this I put in for him.
Of course he's listening.
Of course, yeah. So it's the plane type. So it was a Lockheed L-188 Electra. It was the last plane that the airline had left because all of their other planes had crashed. Hence the bad track record.
Yeah. Were they all the same model?
Yeah.
They were all... Oh, wow.
All the same model had crashed.
And
so
I would imagine they're discontinued now.
Yes, that was another thing. You're ruining all my things. No, it's okay. So, shortly after this last incident, the government took away their certificate to, continue flying. And again, this crash is on Christmas Eve of 1971. Dang. And they put them out of business, I believe it was January 3rd of 1972. Wow. So within, like, a week. They had.
Yeah. But the plane itself, they're probably not manufacturing anymore.
They are.
Really?
They are, but it's only for, I believe it was only for military usage. There's no more, they don't produce it for passenger planes anymore.
Wow. Dang.
So all passenger planes done so. And there's only about 13 left in existence of these planes.
Dang.
So I was going to say, the flights that they had, so a lot of it was like maintenance errors and pilot errors. So they were pretty
so
much...
a lot of it was because of
Yes.
the airline, not...
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of it was because they would literally just hire anyone, pilot or not.
Yeah.
And they didn't maintain their planes very well.
Okay.
So 2 of their planes had crashed into the side of a mountain because they were flying too low,
Yeah.
obviously. One of them was the side of a volcano,
Well, what
and
if
the other
the pilot was afraid of heights?
Jesus. One was the side of a volcano, one of the side of a mountain. And then one of their other planes, I don't know, something with maintenance, but one of the engines had exploded midair.
Oof.
So then they did not know this, of course, until after this whole situation happened. But this plane that they were getting on was made from spare parts of all the other planes.
Nice.
So
I guess all these other planes that blew up and crashed, we just Frankenstein this together.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's so funny that you say that because one of the podcasts that I listened to talking about this, they literally said it was a Frankenstein plane. They called it a Frankenstein plane.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, they're like, oh, we're selling tickets like crazy. We're so like booked up. We could fill up another. We got enough spare parts in the shed back there, right? Let's slap together a quick plane. We can sell more tickets.
Pretty much. God, like it's so awful. One of the planes that crashed, and I don't know which one it was. I didn't look that far into it since it's not the one I'm talking about. But one of those planes had 50 high school kids on them.
Oh no!
All of them died in the crash. I know. I think. When I looked it up, from this airline alone, they have had 214 people die on their planes.
Wow.
From their crashes.
Wow. I wonder how long they were in business. They
I looked into it. I tried, because you always ask me questions that I don't research, so I tried to get everything. So I think the first, they opened in, I want to say it was 1954.
Okay.
And then got shut down in 1972.
That's like when Roswell happened.
Yeah.
Dang.
So 1950.
Wonder if any of their crashes had anything to do with
aliens.
So
yeah, 54 to 72 is when they got shut down. 53 or 54 was somewhere around there, because I did read it, but I didn't write it down. Okay, so then the flight was going to be an hour 50 to 2 hours long from Lima to wherever their destination was.
Gotcha.
And it was about 30 minutes into their flight that the plane started going head on into a thunderstorm, rather than, I guess they said, and again, I don't know too much about like flying and stuff, but they said that a lot of these planes can go around these big thunderstorms, but it takes more time, so they tried to avoid that.
Yeah.
I guess this model of plane was also made for desert climate, not rainforest climate.
Gotcha.
So the pilot made the decision to go straight through this thunderstorm. And Juliana...
That's interesting. I would imagine, again, I don't know, especially like commercial planes and flight, but I would imagine that has to do with something with the humidity.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. That's my best guess. I don't know if Zotes is yelling at me through the speakers.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's what I would imagine, just like air density.
I was going to say,
humidity.
is that like pressure too? Like the air pressure?
Yeah.
That makes sense. So they said it was made for that. And then in Juliana's book, she says that she saw a blinding white light and she had no idea if the plane had exploded or if it got hit by lightning.
That shouldn't affect anything.
What?
A plane getting hit by lightning.
It got hit by lightning. And these models were so terribly done, and this plane was a Frankenstein plane again, and it got hit by lightning on the right wing, and it blew the right wing off completely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yep. So she said that there was just screams and cries through the entire plane.
Wow.
And she said that the plane just immediately nosedived.
Wow. Because that is pretty common. If you think of, you're flying a metal tube in thunderstorms all the time, every day.
For this part too, I did look up a little bit, and Zotes can probably give me more information later also. Because I just grazed over it, but I guess planes now have a way where... Oh, shit, I dropped my phone, sorry. Okay. I'll keep talking. So planes have a way now... Thank you. Where if they get hit by lightning, it's able to catch
grounded.
it and redirect it and shoot it back out. So these did not have that.
Gotcha.
Let me find my spot back in my thing now that I dropped it.
Side note for people that are just to make this like a standalone episode, Zotes is a pilot, close friend of ours, and he's got many episodes on the podcast, so definitely go check those out if you're interested. Interested in a wild ride.
Yeah. Some of them are good, some of them are a little crazy, but you know, you give that warning on the beginning of that episode anyway.
I make it crystal clear.
But yeah, he is so knowledgeable with all of
awesome.
that, of course. Being an actual pilot, unlike these people.
Yes.
So yeah, where was I? Plane. Yeah. So the plane took a nosedive, and she said also she could see straight down the whole aisle all the way down to the cockpit, because she said the cockpit was directly under her, looking straight down.
Wait, so it was like literally nosediving straight?
Straight down. So she was buckled in. She stayed strapped to her seat. She said that, like, she felt like it went silent, like, from all the screams, the cries, everybody losing their mind. She said she felt like everything just went dead silent, and all she could hear was her mom say, so softly and so calmly, "Now it's all over." It was the last thing she ever heard her mom say.
Wow.
Again, since she is sole survivor, as we know, her mother does not make it, unfortunately.
Yeah. She was sitting next to her mother?
Yes.
Where in the plane was she sitting?
So they were in one of the back rows, and she was in the window seat facing the right, or on the right side, so she saw out the window.
Oh, she saw the lightning.
She saw the lightning hit.
Wow.
So she was on that window seat and watched that on that right side. It was like F something. I remember she said her seat number in the book too. Again, didn't write that down either, but it was F something, and she said she was in one of the last rows in the very back of the plane.
Wow.
Strapped to her seat, she said that she at one point went unconscious, woke back up, looked over, and her mom was gone. Had flown out of the plane at some point,
no.
Became unattached from her seat, and was gone. Still attached to the row of seats, all the seats stayed together. The rest of the plane was gone. In her book, she says, quote, "I hadn't left the plane, but the plane had left me."
Wow, so she's in her seat.
She's in her seat.
Free falling.
3 rows of seats, free falling. The rest of the plane, the rest of the passengers, everybody gone. She said she was falling in and out of consciousness that entire time. She estimates she was about 10,000 feet up, falling in and out of consciousness, spiraling to the earth. She thinks that due to that spiraling motion, it might have slowed her fall. And in her book also, she compares it to one of those little maple seeds, those little helicopter seeds, because she said that she, due to like her weight, was in the bottom, and the 2 empty seats were above her, and it was spinning down that way.
Yeah, creating surface area and back pressure,
And she also says that because she, of course, has no idea how or why she survived, and she, tries to come up with all these reasons why. And she thinks that due to the storm also, it could have, and like being in the jungle, being so hot, like there was an updraft.
Yeah.
Thinking that could have slowed her fall a little bit too.
Okay.
So
she doesn't know how she left the plane.
No, she fell out of consciousness, woke back up,
and the plane's just like ripping apart.
Yep.
And just and she didn't know where any of those pieces were. She just like woke back up, and she's still falling, and it's just the seats.
Yeah. So I'll have pictures that I'll show you too of the wreckage.
Okay.
That I can, if you want to post them.
Yeah, I can
too.
post those.
And then I also have a picture of the map, and it shows where the plane left from in Lima, where the destination was, and there's an X on the map for where the plane went down.
Wow.
Estimated on where the plane went down. So I'll give those to you to post too.
Okay.
So yeah, she was spiraling downwards that way.
Do you mind taking a photo, and then we can just and then I can just have these photos in with it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
At the end of the podcast episode. Oh.
Okay, we're taking a picture now real quick.
We'll do another one.
Okay.
We'll do another one later. No, that's okay.
Because I always forget.
I know you
so
do.
many times I like have guests just like
and I say
leave,
picture, and
I'm
you're like,
no.
picture.
Yeah, I always forget.
Yeah. So she was lucky to land in, like, this canopy of trees, too. And she also, another reason, thinks that she survived this fall is because at the moment of impact, she was unconscious. And she thinks because she was limp and rather than stiffed up from the stress, she thinks because her body was limp, she was, you know, slowed by that impact and she was able to hit softer.
Yeah, more giving,
So, again, unconscious completely when she actually landed. She said that she woke back up and she said she, like, just had no energy, no nothing, like, wasn't sure really what happened. She said she felt like she was in a dream state.
Oh, yeah. Falling out of the sky like that and just something that traumatizing.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that.
Dude,
Like,
I know.
Could you imagine being on the forest floor just being like, what the fuck just happened?
It, like, the whole time, like, I had chills the whole time I was listening to her book, and I was just, like, trying to literally picture that. I was like, God, I cannot imagine. And she says a million times in it, too, that, like, if it wasn't for her parents and literally living in the jungle for multiple years, she never would have survived this.
Yeah.
Reiterating, she was 17 when this happened. 17 years old.
Wow. What was the name of her book one more time? Just
When I Fell from the Sky.
Okay.
And then I can have you, like, put it in the little, like, show notes or something, too, if anybody wants to look it up. It was a really, really great book. So, sorry, I keep losing my spot. I wrote on my, like, phone notes rather than my little notebook that I usually have, my journal, so I'm not used to this. So, yeah, she was unconscious when she landed, and then she said that she laid there the rest of the entire night through the morning.
Still buckled in, just sitting on the chair.
She said that when she, like, actually woke up the next morning, she was unbuckled. So she's like, I think I came to at one point, unbuckled myself, and then went unconscious again.
Yeah.
But she doesn't remember unbuckling herself at any point. It could have potentially unbuckled with the impact.
Yeah.
You know, but she doesn't recall unbuckling, but she was unbuckled.
I guess, like, if you're going to fall somewhere, probably, like, over the ocean is probably your best chance for survival.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Maybe not, because that's...
Maybe, I don't know.
Because water is like concrete if you've ever fallen, like, wakeboarding or something.
Yeah.
So maybe not.
I think like a belly flop type of thing.
Yeah, so maybe not. That is a pretty hard surface. But, like, over a forest like that, like, over the Amazon rainforest, like, that's probably either your first or your second best bet, because like landing on those bushy trees, it's not going to be fun, but you got a little bit more leafy kush.
Yes, leafy kush. And she was literally in, like, a little sundress too, like, she had, like, very little, like, clothing on for that too. And you know, so she said that it had, like, downpoured that first night, too, so she woke up drenched, and it was, like, the nights were freezing, the days were, like, 90-plus degrees.
Yeah. Is she still alive?
She is, yeah. She's, I want to say, she's in her 70s, I want to say, like, 73 or something like that, yeah. But I'll get into, like, where she's at in life now at the end of this, too.
I keep getting ahead of myself.
I know you do. That's okay. So the flight was scheduled to land at 4:30 p.m. And then when it didn't arrive immediately, a search was conducted for that. To this day, it is Peru's largest search in history.
Wow. Yeah.
So her father, Hans, going back to him, he didn't think that they took this flight.
Oh.
So he thought, and I have a quote from him too, that they had, he said, quote, Maria knows better than to fly with LANSA. Maria was his wife. He had no idea that they had taken this flight until he listened to the news and heard them list his wife and his daughter among the passengers.
Oh, no.
And I didn't write it down, and I probably should have, but he had written a note. He was, like, journaling at the time, and he gave Juliana his journal when she got back, and she read his, like, entries from when he thought that he had lost both his wife and his daughter. But he was completely, that quote, like, that he was convinced Maria wouldn't get on LANSA flights that was part of his journal entry. Wow. He was like, she would never do that. So.
And what was his name?
Hans.
Okay.
Do you want me to give last name so you can spell it?
Yeah.
It's Kopeke, so it's spelled Kopeke. It's spelled like Kopeke, but it's pronounced Kopeke. So from Juliana's crash, which I say only, and she says the same thing. She's like, considering I fell 10,000 miles or 10,000 feet from the sky, almost 2 miles is what she said.
Yeah.
She's like, my injuries were laughable, is what she says. She had a concussion. She had a broken collarbone, which she said the two bones overlapped on each other.
Oh, yeah.
But never broke skin.
Okay,
Her right eye was swollen shut. And she had lost her glasses in this too, so her vision was gone. But she said this whole time she felt zero pain. She said she woke
Lots
up.
of adrenaline.
Yeah, she said she woke up and she felt no pain. So after she was able to like compose herself a little bit the next morning, she searched around the area trying to find any supplies that would be able to help her survive or do anything, or, of course, find other survivors, because she's thinking, there's no way in hell that I'm the only person that survived this.
Yeah.
And as she searched around, all she found was a bag of candy and a Christmas, like a fruit cake, a little Christmas cake.
Huh.
That somebody had been bringing home for their family.
Sorry, I was trying to find that journal entry.
No, that's all right.
Couldn't find it.
So I can probably cut it from her book, like a little recording of it or something, and send it to you where she talks about that entry. So yeah, she found a bag of candy and like a little Christmas fruit cake. She took the bag of candy with her, but she left the cake because she said that since it had rained that night, it was covered in mud and it was just like gross and sloppy. And like now she talks about it, and now she's like, I probably should have taken that cake with me.
Yeah.
She said this whole time through her journey, she had heard the rescue planes flying above, but the canopy of trees was like too thick that she wasn't able to like get their attention. She of course didn't have like flares or anything,
Yeah.
She said that like even though she knew it was going to do nothing, she was like screaming and waving her arms, and she's like, obviously like they weren't going to hear me, but she's like, I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, out of desperation.
Yeah. So she said that after a little while the planes had flown away. And she's...
I mean, maybe even just worth just trying to get a fire started. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough when it's that wet. But
yeah, she actually talks about that later, and like a few nights into this. And I don't know if I mentioned in the beginning of this, but she survives in the jungle for 11 days.
Wow.
Before getting rescued. Yeah. So she mentions that on one of her later nights where she was like, I was going to try and start a fire. My dad taught me how to with sticks or with rocks or whatever. Yep. And she was like, but everything was way too damp that I wasn't able to, make that work. So.
Could you imagine trying to, especially the nights, like
God.
You get scared out in the forest, like this forest around here.
You need to like keep your Google up and search some of these critters that I tell you about that she encounters.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. But I follow this guy, Paul Rosalie, on Instagram, and he lives out in the rainforest also. Him and his girlfriend live out there in a tree fort. And
that's awesome.
He's, oh my goodness, like the stuff he posts, I'm like, that's an alien.
Yeah. No, seriously, some of the things.
These things are wild. Like, I'm like, like some of the stuff he posts is just disgusting. I'm like, oh. Yeah.
One of the ones that I actually didn't write in my notes, and I had it originally in there, but then it was kind of just like plopped in there because, I don't know, it just didn't, it was in like a weird part of the story, but I ended up taking it out, but now I'm bringing it back up, was a Goliath bird-eating spider. Yeah. And I listened to that, and she like literally grazes over that sentence in her book like it was nothing. But when I was listening to another podcast episode about it, they were like, Goliath and spider should not be in the same sentence, like, or in the same
eating.
Yeah. And
every word there should not be together.
Yeah. And after looking it up, their fangs are 1 inch long on these spiders.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And like Juliana in her book too was talking about it. She was like, luckily it was on the other side, like she had seen it from the other side of the creek that she's on.
Oh, jeez.
But she was
we live in the most boring part of the world. Thank God.
Yeah. I have such a love-hate with the Midwest. Yeah. But she was like, yeah, like one bite from that thing and I would have been gone. Yeah. Like there's so many cases that she encounters here where she's like one wrong move and she was done. And again, in this podcast, the other podcast that I listened to about this, they were like, they're very spiritual and things. And they were talking about, they were like, her mom was there with her through this whole journey through the jungle. Her mom was her guardian angel there watching over her through this whole thing, making sure she got back.
Yeah.
So let's see where it was. Okay. So yeah, the flights or the rescue planes were flying above, and like after they kind of like dispersed a little bit, went elsewhere. And again, this is like thousands and thousands of miles of jungle.
Yeah.
Like they had so much ground to try and search for this. It was nearly impossible.
Yeah.
And they never found any of this wreckage until Juliana got rescued, and she led them back to it. They never would have found it. If it wasn't for her, they never would have found it.
Wow, it's that dense?
Yep. So, after they kind of dispersed away a little bit, she said she heard the sound of trickling water, and she followed it.
So I just searched it. 2.3 million square miles is the size of the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah, that's insane.
Square miles.
Yeah.
2.3 million
I think
square
when
miles.
I looked it up, too, within that amount, 2 what?
2.3 million square miles.
Within that 2.3 million square miles, there's less than 1,000 human population. Less than 1,000 humans.
That's insane.
That live in that population. Like, actually are, like, reside there. Yeah, it's crazy. So, like, and she said that, like, when she landed, too,
it's literally the size of the 48 countries of the United States.
Yeah, that's insane. She said that when, like, she landed, like, there was nothing around her. No bodies, no wreckage, nothing.
Did she ever... I'll get... Okay. I'm sorry, I keep ruining everything.
So, no, it's okay. But, yeah, she was like, I'm looking around, and I have no fucking idea which way I'm supposed to go.
Yeah.
You know,
especially spinning that many times, falling, and, like,
she's like, I have no idea which way the plane wreckage, like, the rest of the wreckage, like, she couldn't see that while she was spiraling like that. She couldn't focus on anything. She's like, I have no idea where the rest of the plane went, no idea where any of these bodies are. She wants to find her mom because she has no idea if her mom's alive or not, of course.
Talk about being dropped in the middle of nowhere.
She said that literally. Yeah.
Like,
she said that
directionless.
Yeah. Through this journey, she said like the hardest part was the loneliness.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, I was absolutely like beat to shit at the end of this, but she's like the hardest part was the loneliness. And she said that there was points in like the later days, like day 8, 9, whatever, that she was convinced that because she walked away from where she had landed, that everybody else got saved and she was the last one left. She was like, I was like, oh my God, they all got saved. And since I should have waited, is what she was thinking. But,
wow.
Yeah. So we're getting ahead of ourselves.
You've seen the show Alone.
Right? Yeah.
Like, that's same thing. Those people are... where is that? Vancouver Island. They get dropped off there, and they have to survive. There's like a handful of them, and it's whoever's the last survivor, and they don't know. Well,
isn't each season a different place that they drop them off at?
In that area, yeah. It's all of them are in the same spot, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's cool because when they finish, like, whatever they tampered with, like all their camps that they set up to survive, because like when you're the last one, they come out to you and say, okay, you won.
Yeah.
But they actually have a crew that comes out there and disassembles their entire campsite and like puts it back to like a natural.
Okay.
So and then they can keep reusing the same area, but like new future season people can't like find a campsite and reuse it or anything because they like put it all back to normal. So but yeah, that's what they talk about. All of those guys say the same thing. It's not the surviving part that's the hardest. It's the loneliness.
All you have is your thoughts. That's terrifying.
And those guys are insane. There's guys that last like 30 to 40 days out there. It's insane.
But the thing is, like, they know at the end they get to go home.
Right, and they're doing it for money,
and
too.
like, I think about this with, like, Juliana. She didn't know if she was going to get to go home.
Yeah.
She didn't know if she was going to die out there. And she, like,
she didn't choose to do that either.
Yeah. And it's funny because at one point she was like, other people, another part in her book, and I'm like getting ahead of myself still here, but at one point in her book, she said that other people would consider this a green hell. Is what she calls the jungle.
Literally.
And she said, I can't be mad at the jungle. I still love it. And she said, it's not the jungle's fault that I've ended up in it. And I was like, oh, that's such a great way to look at it.
Sounds like she's like a super positive person.
She's incredible. She is such a fucking incredible woman. So like cool. I have through like this journey of like reading about her entire life, like I look up to her so much.
Yeah. That's
it's incredible.
Amazing.
Okay, so I keep going back to the same sentence because we keep getting sidetracked.
Sorry.
But yeah, so she heard trickling water. She followed it. She ends up finding this stream and some fresh water, but like she doesn't have anything where she can like collect this fresh water. Like she doesn't have like a little mason jar where she can like bring it with.
I think that a lot of people just forget how, like, because anybody can say, "Oh yeah, we can survive out there."
You have nothing.
Yeah, you have nothing, and I think people take that for granted and don't realize like the little things like that that we just like go to the kitchen, grab a glass of water, pour ourselves a glass. It's like something as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's like just I don't think people realize how like the struggle like this.
Another thing too in like the podcast that I listened to about this is they had posted this like right after the new year and they were like, this is a great way to start off our new year because it makes me like rethink everything that I complain about in life.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's such a like what the fuck do I have to bitch about?
Right.
You know, it's like she went through all of this and I'm over here like complaining about how they made my Starbucks drink wrong.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Every single one of us need more gratitude in our life.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
All of us take everything for granted.
Yeah.
Like let's zip this timeline back like 200 years even, and it's just like the most poor people nowadays are living like the richest of the rich 200 years ago. It's like we need to
no, I 100%
get that
agree.
in our heads, understand that.
Yeah. So she had nothing to hold her water in, so she kind of like, you know, splashed herself off, had a little sippy sip, and was like, all right, I'm going to move forward. And again,
questioning the water itself. Like, who knows if that's even clean?
Yeah.
Like, not boiling it, just drinking straight.
Like,
straight
I
from
just
the
think
creek.
about, like, all of the thoughts going through her head. That, you know, all of the sounds and the things going on around her. And then thinking about if people are alive still. Am I going the right fucking direction? Should I move forward? Should I stay where I'm at? Like, all of these thoughts just racing. It's like, I don't know how I don't know.
Especially having her mom by her side, not even knowing if she's alive.
And she talks about how close she is with her mom and to, like, go through that. And, yeah, it's insane. So, yeah, she said that while she was at that, like, little creek, she said she remembered her father saying at one point when they were living at the research center that he said, if you ever get lost in the jungle, just follow the river. And then, so she kind of just started following the river, following the way that it was going. She said that the land got really rough to get through. Like, there was a lot of fallen trees. There was a lot of stumps and things, like, you know, thick brush that she was trying to get through. So she
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you know what she was wearing for shoes?
She lost her shoes. She was wearing flip-flops.
There you go. I was just going to ask, was it flip-flops or something?
It was flip-flops, and she lost them in the crash.
Yeah.
She actually found one of her flip-flops, and she said...
Really?
Yep. She said that she put it on, and everybody was... She said, like, in her book, she talks about how people asked her all the time when she got, like, rescued. They were like, why did you only wear one flip-flop? Like, why did you even bother wearing that one shoe? You're going to be, like, lopsided. And she was like, because I'd rather have a little cushion on one foot than no feet.
Yeah.
You know? And that actually comes up in...
Wow.
I feel like you keep like...
Sorry.
No, it's good segues into, like, the next parts that I'm going to. It was actually literally my next bullet point that I have that talks about this. So she's talking about, like, how the land is so difficult to, like, travel through. So she made the decision to get into the stream and kind of, like, she said that her energy was so depleted that she, like, kind of had the current, like, pushing her, like, moving her a little bit.
Gotcha.
And she said
that's almost dangerous.
Well,
a bad choice.
She thought that, like, the water creatures and stuff would be easier than the land.
I guess.
Things, you know.
I know there's a lot of piranhas there.
It's so funny that you keep saying all these things.
Sorry.
You're like leading into everything. So she said, let me get through this one bullet point.
I'm a good survivalist.
It's because we go back to our freaking mind reading
that's
telepathy.
what it is. Yeah, twin telepathy.
Non-twin
Yeah,
telepathy.
even though we're not. Yeah.
So she said that with her one flip-flop, she always stepped with that foot first, just to make sure,
smart.
like, kind of poke around. And she also grabbed, like, a big walking stick and poked around in front of her
good.
first to
Yeah.
make sure that
Stir
there wasn't,
everything
like,
out,
yep,
yeah.
exactly. And so in the river, she said that, like, in this area, there was anacondas, bull sharks, piranhas, stingrays, and caimans, which I did not know what a caiman was. So for those of you who don't know, they're kind of like alligators.
Yeah.
They're like a type of alligator crocodile type thing. So she said that all of her days kind of blended together. She said she kept trying to keep count in her head the days and the nights, and as
that's
it went,
like
she was,
sorry, what's that guy? I never.
Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin, yes. Yeah, what
Yep.
was that he known by? Like it was
He was like in a show.
what was the
Yeah.
show, or wasn't it like? Why am I drawing a blank on this? Wasn't it like Crocodile Hunter? Was that what it is?
Was that him? No, I don't think that was him. I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I don't know why I'm
know-
drawing a blank
no,
on this.
I know.
It has been a
Like
long
Crocodile
time.
Hunter.
it
Yeah.
was that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I know
Yeah,
he
okay.
died from a stingray.
Stingray, yeah. And you know why he actually died? He actually died from a stingray,
Yeah.
obviously. But the reason why he wasn't able to be saved, even with the crew there, was because he got punctured, and
Did it go into his bloodstream?
yeah, he was punctured all the way through, and then he grabbed it and pulled it back out, and it's like. And I said the same thing because we've been watching the Fallout series.
Yeah.
and the main character girl, she gets stabbed through the stomach.
Spoiler alerts.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Yeah, spoiler alert. Major spoiler alert. I'll say something in the opener if I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah. And she like pulls it right out, and I'm just like, no, don't pull it out. Like as she was doing it, I'm like, don't pull it out, don't pull it out. And she pulls it right out, and then like patches it up like it's nothing. And I'm like, nope, you do not do that because then you're gonna bleed out. You're opening up the wound.
Yep.
And that's why he bled out, because he pulled it back out. And
I didn't know
if
that.
he would have left it in until he found like civilization for a doctor to actually treat him and remove it properly, and then be able to clot the vessels that are exposed. Yeah, it's just because when you pull that out like that, you need like that clumping compound to be able to seal it up.
Yeah.
Or you could be like Rambo and just like open up a bullet casing and cartridge and just like pour some gunpowder in there and light it
Start
up
on
and
fire. Yeah.
don't do that.
No, don't do that. Yeah, because in Juliana's book too, she talks about how like if you like just get like a little tappy tap or a poke from the stingrays, like it's not that big of a deal. Like it'll burn a little bit, but she was like, it's if it like punctures like a blood vessel or like a vein or something like that, and whatever. I don't know if they like inject like a poison or something. I don't know what. I don't know how stingrays work, but
I think they do have a poison.
Yeah.
And I think they have barbs too.
oh yeah, yes they do. I did know that part. Let's see. So, do you want to search that up real quick before I continue?
Yeah.
Wait, pause because I have to pee.
Okay, we're gonna take. And yes, stingrays have venomous spines on their tails, so they can cause serious injury. Yeah, but they are toxic. They have toxic chemicals that cause immediate and severe pain at the site of the sting, as well as other symptoms. Yeah, jagged wounds that bleed freely, swelling, fainting, nausea, anxiety, blah, blah, blah. Okay,
Blah, blah, blah.
pee break.
Pee.
Okie dokie, we are
Okay.
back, and I also I just looked it up too, Steve Irwin. He got stabbed in the heart, so there was no saving that.
Okay, I did not know.
That's just extremely unfortunate.
That is, yeah. The way you like gestured towards your stomach made me like think that it was
I
stomach.
knew it was in the chest/stomach area. I didn't realize he actually got punctured in the heart. So
yeah, so that was kind of
he was gonna bleed out anyways. Yeah. That sucks.
that's awful.
There's probably a chance if he left it in, but I know it sped it up like considerably
Yeah.
By pulling that out.
Yeah, 100%.
I know that and like a lung shot is pretty much done. So.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well.
Then actually a lung shot, you're not going to die from bleeding out. You're going to die from suffocation.
Yeah.
So on your own blood,
That's
you're going to drown, basically.
terrible.
Which is actually horrible.
Yeah, that is.
I can't even imagine drowning from the inside. That's messed up.
Yeah, like feeling like you're like breathing in like a liquid, but like not like
but
breathing.
Not, yeah.
I got it. Oh, yeah. That's awful.
Yeah. There's liquid in your lungs, actually. I think it's like, there's like a threshold where if your lungs get like cross a certain percentage of liquid, I don't know enough about this, but I know there's liquid in your lungs already, and I think it's like somewhere around like 15 to 20%. Like if you cross like 15 to 20% of the capacity of your lungs filled with liquid, you actually will drown.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's like
So that's why we can't breathe underwater.
Yep.
yeah. Okay, sorry.
Anyway, yeah, no good segue into going back to this, but so yeah, we were talking about all the little creepy crawly things that are in the water. Yeah, so she kind of just like continued on this track, like nothing really eventful happened the first like few days. She just kept following this down. She still had her bit of energy going. And then she said that she said that the river, or the little creek started as just like a little, she literally described it as being like a 20-inch wide. And she said after she kept following it down for a while, it ended up like getting pretty big, like 5-6 feet wide, and it became more of like a river like a river than just a little creek or whatever. So she said that on her 4th day out there, I lost myself on my seat, or on my on my thing. So as she just said, like after a few days, she found a turbine in the river. So she was walking up and she found
a part
of the plane. She said that it like gave her hope because she was like, I am going in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know, her first thought was like, more survivors. I'm gonna find more people. So she kind of like, you know, went around that and moved forward.
Yeah.
Still following the river. The 4th day, she came across, this one's terrible. She came across a row of 3 seats.
I don't know why, but like, psychologically, that's got to be like traumatizing just because of like, well, the whole thing is obviously, I'm not trying to like downplay that, but like the fact that she's been wandering, like that happened, and that's so traumatic. And then like 4 days, you said, she finds this part. Like, at that point, like, she's got to think that she's going crazy. Like, did this actually happen? There's no way this actually... Like, the games in her head have got to be driving her crazy.
Yeah.
And then to find, like proof.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like
that actually happened. Like,
in the, like... Could you, like, even if you weren't a part of that crash, could you imagine finding a turbine in the middle of the...
in the river?
Yeah, in the middle of the rainforest, like... That would give me chills and freak me out just seeing that
100%.
alone. And then knowing I was on that and that was supposed to be flying fine and landing.
And it's crazy too because I'm just baffled. Like this whole 11 days, she said she felt no like physical pain.
That's insane.
From her injuries.
Yeah. And just stress, trauma, and
shock.
A shock and a shit ton of adrenaline.
Yeah. Yeah, I like really expected like after a day or two for her to be like, I was in excruciating pain.
Yeah.
But she was like, no.
Yeah.
So actually going back to that, some of the injuries that I like just remembered that I forgot to write down is she had like a pretty big, she said it was about an inch deep gash across the back of her leg. And she said there was another one on the back of her right arm, and it was only about a dime size wide, but also about an inch deep. So it's like I was just gonna say like a puncture, maybe from like a tree branch or something.
Probably if she's fallen through tree. Like, could you imagine just like being dropped out of the sky into a rainforest? I mean, she's probably breaking branches thicker than her body.
Well, she was like, "How the hell did I only break my collarbone?"
That's insane.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
But it's like, honestly, best case scenario that she was unconscious when she landed.
Yeah, it was probably impact related rather than that sounds stupid. Obviously it is, but like impact related, as in like the sudden stopping for her bone break rather than the contact between branches. Because if she was falling like the way you were describing, I would imagine that the chair, the like the seats, the row of seats that were all still attached, made the impact first. So that's probably what broke the branches, and so she didn't take the brunt of the force.
Yeah,
I would
that's
imagine.
true.
I don't know.
Another part that I actually didn't write in my notes that I'm just kind of gonna like touch on that while we're on the topic real quick, but just because it was so brief. Like at one point, I don't even remember when it was, day 6 or so that she's in. She's floating down the river, and she said that there was like a tree fallen or something, and it was just like really thick, and she wasn't able to get through it, so she had to get out of the river and walk around it. And she said that like floating down the current and stuff she was scared that if she had hit any like branches or anything, she was gonna break more bones. And at first I was like, you're not gonna break bones just from like bumping into these. But from that fall, like maybe she was like, maybe there was like hairline fractures or like little things that could have like one little like too hard of an impact on one specific spot could have made it like snap.
So she must have known that she was in a lot of pain without feeling it.
Well, she said she could see on her collarbone where the two bones, you know how like dad's collarbone is overlapped.
Yeah.
The bones.
So I don't know what that's called. That's not a compound, because a compound is poking through the skin.
Yeah, she said hers never broke skin.
But typically a compound is one overlapping the other. So I don't know what that would actually be considered.
Yeah. So she said that she like noticed, she kind of like, of course, when she hit the ground, did like a pat down, like, oh shit, are all my limbs here? Like, and she said that she felt like that bump on her collarbone and saw that it was like that. And she was like, I knew.
And you can't do I don't know about nowadays, but like, at least like for our father, he, from motocross, he had a bone break. Like, he broke his collarbone, and it was like overlapping over itself, and they can't do anything about that. So they
still like,
it's still like that, and you can see it and feel it too. But his collarbone is overlapping like that, and they just leave it and just like say it is what it is, pretty much. And
and it kind of heals itself and like
it grows,
constructs itself.
Yeah, it grows on top of itself just like that. And the same with like anything with a finger break or a toe break.
Yeah.
Or like my foot, I broke my foot.
Yeah.
They can't do anything about any of that. Like they just
They're
leave
like,
it.
It'll fix itself.
Yeah, they basically just give it some cushion around it. Like you wrap it up, and here's what it is. Let it do its thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing what the body can actually do and how little we
100%.
can actually fix.
Yeah.
Like it's all just like,
yeah, our bodies are incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like finding that turbine in the water, like, God, that just like like hearing that gave me chills. And I know we've talked about this on the podcast for the listeners like a million times, that me and Brody have an extreme fear of just like things in the water that aren't supposed to be in the water.
Yep. Which I think I find so humorous. I always, any chance I get, I talk about that because it's
I know
funny.
It's funny, but it's just like
traumatizing.
It is. I don't know what's so scary about it, but it's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
so there's we can't skim over this.
Oh, okay. Wait, which?
Just the fear of water.
Yeah.
And it's not water. It's like I love water, and like we did our scuba diving thing, and that was awesome. Cool, yeah. But
it's things in the water
that aren't supposed to.
But also, like, I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, are trees like included in that? Because like if there's like a fallen tree and like under the water, and I look at that, I'm like, fuck. I think it's like large.
Yeah, I think that's it's like a land plant. That's not supposed to be in there.
Yeah, but even like large rocks or boulders under there, like it's large things in the water.
Yeah.
It's just like,
that's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, massive objects in the water. Yeah, fuck that.
And I know Mom's sitting there on the other end listening to this, screaming about the spoon story.
Oh no, the spoon story. I don't know that.
You don't know the spoon story?
I probably
You probably
do.
know the spoon story. We were at Door County, and we were in Sand Bay, and I was walking, and I think it might have been with Kaylee.
Oh yeah. Oh, I might have heard this story.
And we were walking, and it was more just like, it scared me and caught me off guard rather than like it itself scared me. But I stepped on it was just a rusty old freaking kitchen spoon in the lake. Yeah. And I stepped on it and I screamed and was like, fuck! fuck that. Like, ran out, and Mom was like, it's a spoon.
Yeah.
There is a spoon in the water, Steph. Like, grow up. And it was just,
that's funny.
Just more so scared me than anything, because I was like, what did I just step on?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like those old cargo ships that have the tires.
I was
going to
say, we've definitely told the tire story.
Yeah, I know we have, but fuck that.
Yeah, that's,
like,
I don't know.
Yeah, because they got these big cargo ships, and they got the big ass tractor tires on the, like, the rear wheel tractor tires that are on there as cushion for the docks. And so we're, same bay, Sand Bay. We were there in Door County. We used to have a cabin up in Door County, and we were swimming, and this is like a really cool bay because there was like it's like a sandbar, and it's like you can go out there, and it's changed now.
Yeah,
but like
you could go out like a mile and it'd be like hip deep.
Not that much, but like
it felt like it when we were like I was like 8 years old. It felt like a mile.
We were playing football out. You could probably go out there 100 yards, and it's like waist deep. Yeah. And like up and down too. Like there was sandbars that came out that were like it would get to knee deep out there, and you were like
even like borderline like friggin' like lower than knee deep, like in between your ankles, and like somewhere
it was cool,
on your shin there.
Really cool. But so we went way out there, and it was like to the point where we started to get like almost shoulder deep, like nipple deep.
Yeah, nipple deep.
And then all of a sudden, like we brought our goggles out there, and it literally all of us are out
little
there. You,
snorkeling
me,
goggles.
Yeah, and
JJ.
Yeah, JJ was probably there. Maybe not. But Grandpa was there. Mom was there. And I'm just like, okay, give me the goggles. I just put them on, and I just like go to the far side of the group, and I literally just plunge under. And like the second I do that, literally right there, right in front of me, it's just a fucking tire.
Like literally one or two more steps from like me or Mom and Grandpa, we would have stepped on
I would have blacked out if I touched that thing. I would have drowned and died right there.
If you stepped on it?
Yeah, if I touched that, fuck that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I hate that. Like, that's not supposed to be there.
No, I agree.
Why does that... And it's only because of the water. It's not like I won't, like, climb inside a tire and roll down a hill or something.
Literally, like things on land don't bother me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. And it's like, if there's, like... I don't even know. I guess not. Because, like... I'll see... Like, you ever see, like, pictures of, like, those shipwrecks where they wrecked because they hit the bottom of, like, the...
Oh yeah,
the water, they
bottom.
scrape the bottom, and then they just like leave them. Like there's places in like I feel like I've seen.
Oh,
in,
and
like,
they're sticking
California,
out.
and they're sticking out.
Yeah,
like that still freaks me out.
Yeah,
because it's still like in the water.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like any of that. I don't know what it is about that.
Yeah,
like maybe we had like I don't know. It's like.
I know. I'm like, I feel like there had to be some like turning point where that happened. Like something triggered this fear, but I don't have any distinct memory of this fear coming on, and it just I don't know.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Past life, we died in a shipwreck.
Oh God, stop! I hate it. I don't even want to think about it. It's funny because I was literally researching this. This is actually really funny. I was researching this, and. I don't know, sometimes your brain just, like, goes on, like, wild, like, rabbit holes of things, and you're like, God, why is my brain going there?
Yeah, every second
like,
of every day, you mean?
Yeah, pretty much. And sometimes it gets, like, really dark, and you're like,
oh, yeah.
Why is my brain doing this?
Yeah, and you start getting, like, afraid of yourself. You're like, why am I thinking
that? Literally. Yeah. So, this is terrible, and I think about it all the time, because it's, like, probably my number one biggest fear, even over shipwreck things, is...
That's saying a lot.
Losing you.
Oh...
But it's a genuine, because you're my fucking best friend. Oh. And, like, I was reading this story about, like, her turbine and whatever, and I was like, the only way somebody could convince me to, like, scuba dive in a shipwreck was if Brody was, like, on his deathbed. And they were like, you need to do this to save Brody. I'd be like, okay.
Oh,
I would literally swim over the Titanic if it was like save you. But no, like I'm so dead serious.
Oh, you're so sweet. I do the same thing for
like
you.
I'm so serious, and I'm like, goodness. God, like nothing. I don't know, but
you're so.
I was like thinking about that the other day, and I was like laying there trying to fall asleep, and I could feel like the tears welling up in my eyes, and I was like, don't. Cry.
You're so sweet, Steph. I love you.
But anyways, moving on.
And that probably sounds so weird for the listeners.
I know.
I would swim over the Titanic for you. Sorry,
I just took a sip of water and almost choked and died. Oh my god. That's so true, though.
Yeah.
Like, I would scuba dive for you.
Yeah, literally.
I love you so much, I would scuba dive. People are like, what the fuck?
Yeah, oh my goodness.
But it's like, from an outside perspective where you don't understand the fear, it sounds stupid.
Right,
but like,
right. Yeah, it's such a weird fear.
yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna move on with the story.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Onward and upward.
Okay, yes. So we're getting into a really terrible, tragic part of the story real quick.
Okay.
So
well, at least we lighten the mood a little bit.
Yeah.
It's okay. No.
Yes, a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so 4th day into her trek here, she came across like a 3-row of seats. And
Just the seats?
no.
Oh, God.
3-row of seats lodged 3 feet down into the ground because they hit straight in between like a canopy, like didn't hit the trees, straight down head first. So the heads were buried up until like mid chest deep into the ground.
So the row of seats were actually upside down.
And their feet were sticking up out of the ground. Yeah. And she said that she saw that, and for her and she said that she like borderline laughed at herself afterwards because she was like, my first thought was like, is that my mom? And she was like, even though like I knew deep down, like my mom was in the seat next to me, like there's no way this could be my mom because all 3 bodies were there.
Yeah.
And it was 2 men and 1 woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that like for some reason her instinct was to like poke the feet with like a stick, and she knocked the woman's shoe off, and she saw that her toenails were painted, and she said my mom never painted her toenails, so I knew that wasn't her. She said after that moment is when she realized like that couldn't have been my mom, she was next to me.
Yeah.
But she was like, that alone was just like just straight impact, like boom. She said seatbelts still buckled, like they were still strapped in. It was terrible. And she said while she was like doing that, while she was sitting there, she said she heard like this really like indistinguishable, large like flapping sound. And she said that she, of course, again, like how I touched in the beginning background story, that her parents were both studied birds.
Yep.
That she knew the sound, and it was king vultures.
Oh, jeez.
And I guess this specific type of vulture like only comes around when there's like large amounts of decay or death around. So she like knew that she was getting close to the crash site, and like she said that just like broke her.
Yeah.
Knowing that there was that much like that they were there. And she said that she like heard that flapping and then looked up, and there was just vultures perched all above her. Oh, wow. In the trees there, waiting for her to leave so that they could eat. I know, it was awful. She said that a lot of the wildlife there were not scared of her, which told her that there was never like human life there. She was like, any like animal, like, humans are top of the food chain.
Yeah.
She was like, any animal that knows a human is going to be shy or scared.
Yep.
And she said that all of these animals were like intrigued, like they were looking at her, they were kind of waddling up. Sorry.
I think people that have never spent a day in the woods are the first people to say humans are top of the food chain.
Yeah.
Because when you go out there, you quickly realize
not so much. Yeah. If you're like based on like, we can be top of the food chain because we're advanced and we have weaponry.
Yeah.
Without that, we're nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Without that, if it was no weapons, like, we're fucked.
We're just soft, loose bags of flesh.
Yeah, little squishy bags.
Gummy bags.
Yeah, gross. Gummy bags. That's nasty. That's nasty. Yeah, so she was like... Yeah, she was like that. She said that day she just like it was just all like fuck, like a bunch of people died, and that she's having that realization, which of course she tried to ignore in her head, and then also seeing how like curious the animals were about her, she was like, "There's no life around here. Like I am in the middle of literally nowhere."
Yeah.
She said that on her 4th night out there is when she ran out of her bag of candy. And that's the only food that she has had in the 4 days was a little bit. She said it was a fruit candy. She didn't specify. Some kind of little fruit candy. She said she ran out of it on night 4. And at that point, she was drinking, like, the dirty river water.
Oh, jeez.
She had no fresh water.
Did she get super sick?
Not really, no.
Wow.
So, yeah, she had that. And then
and you're better off drinking from a creek
Yeah.
than you are from like standing water, because bacteria can grow in standing water, and bacteria can still grow in a creek and can be washed downstream, but you're better off having moving water because you have a better chance of clean water than just fermenting still water.
She said when it was raining, when the nights would rain, she licked the leaves to get water off of it.
Oh my goodness.
And then we come to day 6 to 7, and that puncture wound in the back of her arm, she had discovered that there was maggots in it.
Oh, jeez.
That at some point during that time, flies had laid some eggs in there. She had a ring on her finger, and she said that she pulled it off, and she bent it and made tweezers.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. She made little tweezers out of it, and she tried to get them out.
Yeah.
And she didn't succeed. She didn't get any. She said she also had a watch on, and she used the clasp of her watch to try and kind of like scrape it. Yeah, but she said she had no luck with it. She couldn't get anything, but she was,
Wow.
She was like, I couldn't do anything, so I had to keep going.
Yeah. And how do you, it's something that can be totally, slipped of the mind, because, anybody can think, oh, you should have treated that first thing, but,
With what?
You got to think of the event, too, how traumatizing that is, everything going on around you.
She had no bandages. She had nothing to cover that wound with.
That too,
I mean, at this point, outsiders speaking and not knowing where your head's at. And again, she was incredibly concussed, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She had a wicked concussion.
Yeah.
So her brain's already fogged.
Yeah.
But, from an outside perspective, I could sit here and be like, oh, why didn't she tear part of her dress off and wrap it up or something like that?
Yeah, or
but,
just, you could cut the bark off of a tree and take the fiber from the inside of the bark out, makeshift some rope and tie a banana leaf around it or something.
Yeah, she said in her mind, all she could think about was finding civilization, finding her mother, finding survivors.
Yeah.
She said at one point she was walking and she tripped over a little hole in the ground. She said she smacked down, almost face down, hit the ground.
Oh, wow.
And again, we're a week in at this point. She's a week living out there. She said she hit the ground and she just laid there. She was like, I literally lost all strength. I couldn't, she said she physically could not push her body back up. A week with no food and dirty shit lake water or river water. She was like, I wanted to sleep. So she said she kind of just accepted her fate at that point. She closed her eyes for a little bit and was just laying there. Was like, all right, I'm just gonna give my body a rest. She said she was sitting there. She hears this little chirping sound, right outside her ear. She's like, and opened her eyes, and there was a baby came in and its mother, sitting right there, looking at her. She said they started approaching her in an aggressive way, She said, everything in her body wanted to just get up and sprint. She was like, I knew if I chose that, I'd be fucked.
They were going to kill her.
She was like, they're way too fast. They would have gotten me.
And they're birds, right?
No, the caimans are the alligator type things.
It was a bird.
No, caimans are little alligator. I say little, not little.
Yeah.
They're alligators, pretty much. Yeah, look them up.
Yeah.
They have, the wicked, sharp, giant teeth and, yeah. So she said that she just, slowly, pushed herself backwards across the ground and slid herself back into the river until they were gone.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Dang.
So she was able to...
Yeah, those are literally full-size alligators.
Yeah. I say little because I'm thinking of the little baby one. And, of course, having the mom there, or the baby there is going to make the mom more aggressive, too. And the chirping was, the baby making a little, little chirpy sound. But, yeah, she said she just slid backwards super-duper slowly.
Oh, fucking K. I guess caimans are relatively small crocodiles. They can get over 13 feet.
Yeah. Relatively small.
Yeah.
Let me see them again.
Okay, so typically they grow 6 feet in length and weigh about 80 pounds, but it says they can get over 13 feet.
Yeah.
Here.
I'm like, I never did like a side by side to like
Oh
a
my
crocodile.
goodness,
I'm like,
that one's huge. Okay, so just scroll, but there's one in the bed of a truck there that's
God.
wild, a white truck. So like just down.
Holy shit. Yeah, they're out here. Like, there's like a little. What's the difference between all of them? Alligator, crocodile. Yeah, it's just like smaller crocodile and. Yeah. They got like that weird little bump on their nose.
I never
almost.
remember, but I think crocodiles are the biggest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
and the
according to
most
this little
aggressive.
chart, it looks like it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. She shimmied her little way away from that guy. Those guys.
Yes. Literally living dinosaurs.
Yeah, pretty much. God,
Then-
imagine
yes, that's
opening your
right.
eyes and having that, like, right fucking there.
Fuck that. Yeah, the Nile crocodile is the biggest. That's right. Yeah. Could you imagine? That's a fucking dinosaur.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, so she said since she had, like, no strength left, like, she slid back into the river, and she kind of just floated and let the current take her down.
Yeah. That's probably the best thing she could.
Yeah. She said at one point she sat up and realizing like she had a lot of pain on her back, and she had second-degree burns on her back from the
I
sun.
believe it,
Yeah.
yeah.
And she said she like reached back and touched her back, and it was covered in blood. Like the blisters had like broke open, and it was her whole back was bloody and burnt.
That's wild. Okay,
Yeah.
so also, I just looked
that's
up another thing. Yeah, so these things, like if she tried to run, these things can run up to 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, damn.
Some of these numbers, I'm saying 20 because that's one of the lowest I can find. But
Yeah.
there's another site that says that they can run up to 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's crazy. So.
And that's running, and I'm sure they can swim faster than that.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. Yeah, so she said she just like went limp pretty much and floated down the current. That makes sense because in my mind I was like, why didn't you fucking go? But yeah.
I'm sorry, there's one thing that just says Arcaiman's friendly, and it just says probably not suitable for the average pet owner.
For the average pet owner. Jesus. God.
That's, oh my goodness, that's just a perfect example of like why people make stupid decisions, because everybody's just like, oh, let's just Google it, and like everybody just thinks they know everything, and because of Google. And it's things like that. Like, oh, are
they niceys?
Are these little living dinosaurs friendly?
Yeah, literally.
Oh, it's a cute little animal.
God. Jesus.
Yeah, I think everybody nowadays just makes everything out to be like, oh, cute, precious, beautiful Mother Nature, which it is in its own way.
It is, yeah, but
you can't go out there like thinking
it's
like
also
everything's your best
violent,
friend.
you know,
it's literally it's war out there. It's just like constant
the
fight
circle
for
of life,
survival.
baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not every animal out there is like your puppy dog.
Not at all. Not even close. Not even all puppy dogs are like your puppy dog.
Yeah, and even if you're trying to like feed it some snackies, you can't.
I will never forget, and I can't remember if it was the day that me and Mom went off on our own or if you were with us, but when we did the trip to Seattle, and we went to the aquarium. Did you come to the aquarium? Was that just me and Mom?
I don't remember going to the
No,
aquarium.
okay. So that was just me and Mom. I think you and Dad went out and did something else, and
Yeah.
we did our own thing. I'm pretty sure it was at that one. But there was a spot where they had like a big cage thing of alligators, and they had like that plexiglass type.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I remember we did split up because I remember you coming back and telling me about this.
Yeah. And they had like a little chute, a little like PVC pipe, little tiny. It was probably like maybe an inch to 2 inches wide. And you could buy either frozen mice, chunks of steak, something, and drop it down and feed the alligators. And like the second the meats dropped out of there, watching them like fight each other.
And those are domesticated.
Yeah. And
That's not wild.
they were
hungry
like
ones.
bashing skulls trying to get
Jeez.
to this little chunk of meat as fast as they could. Like it was scary.
Yeah,
was
that's
scary.
insane. Used to seeing humans domesticated
Yeah.
animals, and that's another thing that people don't realize is like wild, and like the driving force of animals, when they are hungry, the aggression is insane.
100%.
That's like you see like ravenous dogs, like dogs that are like fed each day like multiple meals and are like taken care of and lots of love, and they're just like laying on the floor like they are right now, and just like happy puppy dogs.
Yep.
But then like you could take these dogs too, and if you just like, and you can see this with like horrible events where like the parents like get killed or something, or like you hear this. I know you're into true crime, but like suicides, things like that, and like that have pets.
Yeah.
And that people don't notice for days, and the pets are like super aggressive because who knows how long it's been since they had their last meal, and like food is a massive driving force, and like
they'll like no matter how much they love their owners, if something like that happens, so there's been stories where they will literally eat their owners if they go days without food, and like the owner's body is still there if they got murdered or a suicide or something like that. Like there's been stories where they're like, it's that's so messed up.
But like that's the thing, people don't realize like the driving force of that, and the difference between like animals that are domesticated and like they're fine for now, but that animal instinct's still in there, and also like wild animals that are living day by day, minute by minute, trying to survive. Who knows when its next meal is going to be there, and it's got to fight for every meal that it gets. Like that's a whole different story than just like a zoo alligator.
These like in the story here, these came in seeing like a human, this giant flesh bag. They're like, that's the biggest meal I've ever seen in my life.
That would feed the whole family for days.
Rather than they're probably out there grabbing birds and you know, random little
starving. I'm really trying to hammer home this point of the aggression of wild animals.
No, I get that. But anyway.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I like our tangents. So let's see. This kind of goes on again with food and everything. So we lead up to day 9 here now, and she said that just like the hunger got to her. She said that she spent the whole day, pretty much hours, trying to get frogs to eat. She said that the only thing she found were poison dart frogs, and she was like, I know that won't settle well with my stomach, but I am willing to take that risk to get a little bit sick to have something in my stomach.
Wow.
She was like, and I don't know if it would kill me and how sick, with like the state of how sick I am currently, like, but she was willing to take that risk.
Wow. That could absolutely kill her. They said that, like, or what she had said in her book, and you might know better on this since you're a frog guy, but she said that like just having like one, like the poison sac or whatever it is from one poison dart frog is not enough to kill an adult human. Granted, she is only 17, so she's not, and they said like she's very petite, she was smaller. She was like 100 pounds soaking wet. There are different varieties, and from what I've gathered, the most poisonous ones, they can kill up to 6 full-grown human beings.
Really?
the amount of poison within one frog.
Okay.
And it is on their skin.
I
know like native tribes, they would literally...
She talks about this in her book as well, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They would literally just find these poison dart frogs, not even touch them, but just take their arrows and just like wipe them on the skin of the frog. And they would use these in blowguns. So like you just take their little stubby little arrows with the feathers on the back and just wipe the tip of the arrow on the poison dart frog's back, put it into the blowgun and blow it and literally shoot monkeys out of trees. And they'd be like, ooh, swinging through the trees, and then just tag it, and they just drop.
Like, from the poison on that.
They don't even have to puncture or anything, just like...
Yeah.
Well, they have to puncture for the poison, but like they don't even have to like go through the arrow. It's not like a gun.
I'm assuming she probably, again, with like her knowledge on the forest, knew which ones to avoid and which ones to not. So she probably kind of went off of a little bit of that knowledge. We used to have
pet poison dart frogs for the longest time. And another side story, a little fun fact, is the poison dart frogs don't produce poison themselves. They adopt it.
Something, right?
Yeah, they get their poison from other animals. So like they'll eat poison ants and things like that. So when they eat poisonous bugs, they they're getting their poison
They
from
like
that.
absorb it or something.
Yep. So our poison dart frogs.
Sorry, I keep wiggling my chair.
That's
For
okay.
listeners,
No,
I
me
hear
too.
squeak.
This chair sucks because it's so
just get
squeaky.
antsy.
But our poison dart frogs weren't actually poisonous
Yeah.
because we fed them fruit flies.
Yeah.
And they weren't poisonous. I remember a time where I was like terrified because one of them got out at one point. Did I ever tell you this?
I think so.
I was playing video games and just all of a sudden a poison dart frog's hopping across the floor and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh God. And I was
Yeah.
like actually scared of my
Yeah.
own frog for a
Yeah.
second because like we never touched them. We didn't handle them or anything.
Yeah.
And we had a massive cage for them with like automatic mister system. It was a badass
Yeah.
cage.
It was like an
of-
aquarium tank,
Yeah,
like a
it was
huge. Yeah.
And these guys are itty bitty.
Yeah.
But I was actually terrified. I'm like, oh wait, okay, these guys aren't poisonous.
Yeah.
But I was still scared to touch this thing, and I
Yeah.
grabbed it barehanded and put it back in the. But they're not poisonous if they're fed on fruit flies or.
Yeah.
They get their poison from poisonous bugs.
Yeah. I knew it was like some sort of food, but I didn't realize it was poisonous bugs that it was. I thought it was like some sort of specific plant or something that they had to eat. But
Yeah.
she never caught any frogs.
Oh dang. Well, maybe a good thing.
Yeah, probably a good thing for sure.
But the fact she brought that up means that she probably saw enough of them.
Yeah. She said there was actually like a few different days, like multiple different days that she was like trying to. Like the last day before she gets rescued, actually, she said she started trying again. And
Yeah.
so she was going to continue following the river. And she noticed, like, she said, like, the river was starting to narrow a little bit again. Mm-hmm. And she found, like, a little, like, gravel, like, bank off to the side. And she was like, this looks like a good spot to just, like, chill out for the night. She said that she made sure, like, every night that she went to sleep, like, she always made sure her back was covered, whether it was by, like, you know, a little hill or something or a tree, or, like, she was like, I always made sure my back was protected and covered. So she said she went to lay to rest.
I don't even know where your best bet would be in the rainforest like that for survival, like where to set up camp for the night. Because like typically around here you'd be better off in the trees because like you're gonna be safer above ground, but also you got to make sure you're like secure because you could roll out of a tree and die.
Yeah.
But like in the rainforest.
There's
The trees are
there's howler monkeys there too that she saw.
Almost more dangerous. But yeah, the monkeys could fuck you up. There's countless venomous snakes that are in the trees. Jaguars can climb trees. Cheetahs, they can all climb trees.
There's ocelots too.
Oh yeah, exactly. Freaking Minecraft.
I know. I thought of that when I saw that. Or when she said that.
But literally, all of them spend more time in the trees because they hunt from the trees and watch down below.
Yeah.
And which is why they actually, they kind of are freaked out by humans because we're the only things that walk upright, and they prefer like. I mean, think about it. When you're looking down at an animal, like that's a big surface area. You see like a dog or something like that, you have the whole back to jump down on. So like they look at humans and like think, how do I attack this? Because it's like a smaller frame looking down on it. So it's weird, but they hunt from above.
Well, it's like how like bears will get up on their back feet and like when they're being all scaries.
Yeah, lizards do the same thing. They stand up on their back feet, and they like it's scarier for other animals when you're like standing upright because that's not natural.
Yeah. Yeah. So she went to rest.
That's why we're aliens.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. Feels like it.
We're not from here. Everything. Why are we the only ones that have to wipe our ass?
We're not getting into this right now.
Okay, sorry.
Why are we the only ones that have to wipe our ass? Jesus. But anyway, so yeah, she went to chill out on this little gravel bank. She said before closing her eye, like she was kind of just like, you know, the fluttery eyes. She said she spotted a boat and like tied up, you know, floating in the river.
Yeah.
And she was like, I totally thought it was my mind playing tricks on me. Because she said, like, other times earlier, she said, like, she would see in the distance, she thought she saw, like, the tops of houses.
Oh, really?
Or at one point, she said she thought she heard chickens, which meant humans.
Yeah.
But it was just the other birds and stuff. She said, like, there were so many, like you were saying earlier, mind tricks and stuff. So she said she saw this boat, and she was like, nah.
Yeah.
There's not a boat there. Like, there's no way that's actually a boat.
Mm-hmm.
She said she was, like, tightly, like, blinking her eyes and, like, looking, like, going all wide.
Yeah.
And she was like, is it? And she was like, still didn't believe it. And then she got up and walked over. And she said it wasn't until she physically touched it that she was like, this is a boat.
Yeah.
Like, this is real. This is here.
Wow.
So she kind of like looked around. She didn't see anybody, but she saw a little footpath that was very clearly like chopped and cleared.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So she followed down this little footpath, and she found like a little hut. And she was like, oh my God, like there's life. This is a sign of civilization. So apparently there was like types of different like lumberjacks, things like that, like that would go out there, and they would sometimes just completely abandon their stuff for months or even years or forever.
Wow.
So she saw this and she had a little bit of hope, but she was like, they might not come back. I don't see anybody. But she said the boat looked like it was brand new. She said it was a pretty big sized boat.
Do you know if it was metal or wood?
I think it was wood, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. That's what I was imagining.
I was imagining wood too, but she didn't describe it too much.
Yeah.
Inside of this hut, she went in, of course. She said she found a little can of gasoline. She said she took that little can of gasoline. She said it took so much of her energy to get the cap off. Like, she was just so weak, so exhausted, so tired.
It had to have been a metal boat then with a motor on it, because
that's true.
She found gas.
That's true. I didn't even like put two and two together. She took some of that gas and she poured it into her wound.
Yep.
To get the maggots out. Yep. You knew where that was going.
Yeah.
She said that it was
it.
one of the most excruciating pains. She said that initially the maggots had tried burrowing deeper.
Yeah.
And then they came back out. And she said she sat there with her little homemade tweezers.
Yep.
And she said she got about 30 maggots out of her arm.
Fuck.
Yeah. She said she was going to move forward. And then she was like, you know what? I have a shelter here. Like, I'm going to rest tonight.
Might
I'm
as well
going to chill
use
out. Yeah. So she decided to stay there for another night. And she stayed overnight. She planned to move forward the next morning, like, thinking that nobody was going to come back. Because she was there, like, that whole day, and nobody showed up.
Yeah.
Next morning, she wakes up. She's still alone, and a heavy rainfall.
So she stayed there for 2 days?
She stayed there for one night.
Oh, one night. Okay.
Yep. She said that next morning she woke up, heavy rainfall started. She was gonna head out that morning and keep moving forward, but due to that rain, she was like, you know what, I'm gonna stay in this little hut, keep myself dry, wait for the rain to pass, stay a little bit longer.
Yeah.
She said that it was later that evening after the sun started to set, and she also said that in this time of year that it was, that the sun was setting around 6 p.m. and rising around 6 a.m.
Okay, so they have long nights.
Yeah.
So it's like wintertime, basically.
Yeah, it was, because it was December when the...
Oh, yeah.
So it was... And she said she didn't know when the new year had started. Wow. So she said that it was, like, starting to get a little bit dark out. She estimated it was around...
So this is going on, and everybody over in America is just, like, celebrating the new year, drinking, blowing their freaking whistle things, and partying, and this poor girl's...
Yep.
What year was this again?
1971.
Wow.
And 72, the start of 72. So she said that, she said estimating on, like, where, because she was basing her time solely off of, like, where the sun was. And she said it was about 5 p.m., she was assuming. The sun was starting to set, and she said she started to hear voices in the distance. And she was like, again, my mind's playing tricks on me. Like, there's no way. She said she kept hearing them, and they started coming closer. She was like, that's voices. And she kind of, like, popped out of the hut.
And it's probably been, like, so long where she doesn't even remember what voices sound like.
Yeah, almost 2 weeks on her own. So she, like, pops out of the little hut, looks around, and 3 men come out of the woods. And she said that she just, like, in shock, and, like, they were, like, in shock.
Yeah,
like,
I bet.
Like, this is our hut. Like, who the hell
probably
is this?
Territorial. And,
they're like, who's this girl?
Yeah.
She looks like garbage, like, just in our place. And she said that immediately, and again, in Peru, like, they speak Spanish. So she said, and her parents had taught her both Spanish and English growing up.
That's convenient.
So she said that in Spanish, she immediately looked at them and said, "I'm a girl who was in the LANSA crash." And they had all heard about this. Everybody knew about this. It was, pretty much nationwide known.
Yeah.
They were lumberjacks. They had not planned on returning to the hut that day, but due to the rainfall, they came back to make sure that their boat didn't float off.
Oh, shit.
Due to the storm.
Wow.
So literally every little thing this entire journey was working out in her favor. Every little thing was just like such coincidence.
Yeah.
They had no intentions of returning that day.
Yeah, what would happen if she was like, I'm just going to wait out this rain, and they didn't show up? If they're like, fuck this rain, we'll figure it out when we get back. And then all of a sudden, like, what would be her next opportunity? She just goes wandering off, and she could have gotten killed.
So they said that based on her condition, she wouldn't have lived another day. They said she had about, another 24 hours left in her, and her body would have given out on her. And they also said that if she continued, like, that was the last, like, opening out to, like, where there was the creek kind of, like, split, and it went out, like, to lead towards civilization. But if she kept following the way that she was heading, they said that it just kept going deeper into a thicker density of the forest. So if they didn't come back and find her there, she was screwed.
Yeah.
She never would have been found.
Wow.
And if that happened, the plane would have never been found. None of the bodies would have been recovered.
That's insane.
All coincidence. So, she said, I had that next in my notes where, like, they said that she would not have survived another day out there.
Yeah.
They gave her food. They had soup.
Oh.
They gave her fresh water, and they had extra clean clothes. So they gave her some fresh clothes, food, and water.
That's got to be hard to eat after not eating that
So
long.
she said that she was like, I didn't even feel hungry.
Yeah.
She was like, I didn't even want to eat at that point.
Yeah. Because you see it in like movies and cartoons where it's like you go so long without eating, and then they're just like nom 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 and just eat a huge meal. But that's
No, she said after that long she hadn't. So it was
her stomach's all shrunk.
7 days of zero food, nothing, because she ran out of her candy on the 4th night and she was out 11 nights.
Yeah. Wow.
So they gave her food, fresh water, and clean clothes. And then they kind of like examined, they saw her arm, and because again, it was on the back of her arm, so she couldn't reach that wound very well. She said with their help, they ended up removing 50 more maggots.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, God, like that's, and she said that it was like, I don't know what they have out there. It was like some kind of like botfly or something. She said that they were almost an inch long each.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah. Nasty.
So it's like, got the gouge and then just like spread outwards inside of her body.
Yeah. She said that she was convinced her arm was going to be amputated.
Yeah.
It did not.
Wow.
I know. So then she's like all joyed, she's like found, people, everything. It was an 11-hour boat ride back to civilization.
Wow.
So they brought her back to this town, Ternavista. And it was more inhabited, but it was still like a smaller town. So she said that they tried to give her penicillin, but her father was extremely allergic, so she was weary of it because she wasn't sure if she was or not.
Fuck, that's me.
Brody's allergic to penicillin, so she was
literally the only thing I'm allergic to.
Yep. So she was like, no, I'm not taking that. Like, I don't want that. And they ended up, she said they gave her a different injection, like some sort of something, antibiotic or something. And then they flew her to a different hospital.
Oh, no.
They had to get her on a plane to fly to a more, populated area to get her to a better hospital.
Yeah.
She said that the whole time they were sitting there reassuring her, like, we're going to take care of you. Like, we promise this is, like, one of the best, like, pilots that we have. Like, it's going to be...
I can't even imagine
She said that she didn't even have the strength to be scared. She said she did not even care about getting on the flight. She was just, like, so drained. And she said she had not an ounce. She was just like, okay.
Yeah.
And she said she didn't.
That's insane.
Didn't care. So... I know I said this earlier, but this was how I, like, concluded that whole 11 days is just saying, like, to this day, she struggles to understand why and how she was the only survivor. She said that she, that whole time, was thinking about how she needed to make something out of her life after that. She was like, I can't, you know, she was like, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Like, and she said she wasn't raised, she said her parents raised her to let her choose what she believed in. They had Christian values. They believed in Christianity, but she was kind of like teetering. She was like, I didn't believe in one thing or another specifically, but she was like, somebody out there has a plan for me in this life. She was like, there is no reason I should have survived this. There's no, like, there's something.
The plane crash is one thing, and then to be able to survive in the most dangerous part of the world for how long? 2 weeks?
11 days,
almost?
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, just take a sip. So then, we're coming to our conclusion here. So, after recovering from her injuries, she ended up going back into the jungle to assist them in finding the crash site and recovering all the victims' bodies.
She is a strong woman.
Yeah. Again, like I cannot say it enough times. She's 17 years old. 17. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
So
just the mental strength of being able to go back into the how long after her like returning to civilization did she go back out there?
I don't know how long it took her to recover from that.
Okay.
I did not see that. But yeah, overall there was
so she led them back to where the plane crash was.
Yep. They never. That's why I said earlier they never would have found it if it wasn't for her bringing them back.
That's insane.
And sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Oh yeah, I was just gonna say. So overall, there was 91 deaths from this crash because there was only 92 on the plane, and she was sole survivor.
Yeah.
They found out later after recovering. They did recover every body. 14 people had initially survived the crash.
14 survived and then just
died from their injuries and waiting for survival.
Oh no.
Her mom was one of them.
She survived originally?
Her mom survived the crash and she passed shortly after from her injuries.
Oh no. How did they find that? How did they know
I
that?
think just based off of autopsy and, you know,
The fact
figuring
that
out
they-
like that there was, you know,
They saw they got up and moved around.
I don't know if it was necessarily movement or if it was, like, it could be something as simple as, like, blood in the lungs showing that they were still breathing after that, or things like that they can tell in an autopsy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, her mom had survived the crash initially.
Wow.
And they don't know how many days or how long they survived after that or how, you know, so.
That's insane. How do you know how far away like those people, like the rest of the plane was to where she landed?
I don't know. I don't know where they were. But I know I said this part in the beginning too because you got ahead of it. But after this incident, LANSA Airlines lost her certificate to operate. Sorry, I just sipped a bubbly drink and I had a little burp bubble up. So then down the road, Juliane went on to get her doctorate in biology at the Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich, Germany. So she flew to Germany to get her doctorate in biology.
Wow.
And after a few years, she got married. And then she and her husband flew back to Peru so that she could conduct research in, and I'm probably going to mess up this pronunciation because it's kind of spelled weird, but mammalogy.
Okay.
And she specializes in studying bats.
Oh, cute.
So in 2000...
Frickin' bats.
Frickin' bats. I love Halloween. So in 2000, her father, Hans, had passed away. And she took over as the director of Penguana.
No.
Of the fucking jungle that she...
Yeah.
almost died in.
Wow.
So she became director of that whole research facility.
Yeah.
Again, she is still alive. They went back again.
That's amazing. Talk about facing your fears.
Yeah. Flies all the time now.
Wow.
She and her husband now live in Munich, Germany, and she works as a librarian.
Oh, so sweet.
Yes. and she wrote her book, and I believe her book was published in 2011. So she said that after this whole situation, like, she stayed silent for a long time. Yeah. She said she did not want to talk about it.
Trying to cope. And
she avoided all of the press, the media, everything, everybody trying to interview her, everybody all up in her shit.
Yeah.
Also, fuck the media.
Yeah.
They portrayed her as this bad guy because they said that she ran off on her own. This was an actual story that they put out. Oh my God, Baron's so cute. He's got a little blankie over his face.
And he just sneezed and looked up at us like, why'd you do that?
He's so cute. Yeah, the media wrote a story saying that she left other survivors and ran off on her own.
Yeah, probably because they were just fucking tighten the britches because she denied him an interview.
Yeah, pretty much. And
fuck them. Nobody believes the mainstream media anyways.
Yeah, literally. So she had done interviews and they twisted her words and did everything. Like, there was one, and like in one of the other podcasts that I listened to about it, they literally said like they tried to make her story more sensational, even though it was already sensational. Like it doesn't, like, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And they like claimed that like when she landed, she woke up and there was dead bodies on top of her and all of this, which was not true. Yeah. Not true. But they're just trying to like twist things and make it sound, you know, more horrific.
You gotta sell that story.
Yeah, I'm like, God, her story is incredible as is. Like, you don't need to add more to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that pretty much comes to our tail end of the story of Juliane.
That's insane. Did she ever find her mom's body?
Yes, they recovered her mother's body. There's now a memorial right outside of Penguana really? With everybody's names on there, and I can't remember what it says on top of the memorial.
I thought you said when we were recording the last episode, when we briefly talked about this, that she found her mom's body.
No.
Okay.
No, she never did.
Okay.
Well, they did, but not.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a picture of the memorial, and on it says "Wings of Hope" in Spanish.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's
and
cool.
On the
that's
back
beautiful.
side, it has a plaque with everybody's names listed on it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
What a story.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Like, that's like a story that's like, and I understand why she doesn't want to talk about it. First, because of the trauma, obviously, but second, because like who's gonna believe that?
Yeah.
Like, she's
Nobody.
walking around living, and it's like, it's like, who, like, nobody goes through that, nobody lives through that, so nobody's gonna believe it.
Yeah, it was also kind of like sad too, because like at the end of her book, she was like, people still to this day come up and be like, "Are you Juliane Kopeke?" And she'll be like, "Yeah," and they're like, we'll ask her these questions. And she's like, they bring back memories that I do everything in my power to try to forget.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, that's
horrible.
devastating.
Yeah.
She said that it's become, again, like sensational.
And
Everybody knows
that's
her
just
story.
her. That's just who she is now, and she's just known as that, which is horrible.
And she was like, I do everything every night to try and get it. She said, like, she'll fall asleep and, like, her nightmares are just hearing, like, the roar of the engines going down. She said it was such a distinct sound.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah, it was terrible. Terrible story. But incredible survival story.
Yeah, that's an amazing story.
Yeah, and she still is like, how did I, of all people.
And she's going to be questioning that the rest of her life, too, because it's like, why?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
She said she'll still continue to, like, when she flies over, she, like, has flown over that exact area where the plane crashed. And she said that she was telling a story in her book about how her and her husband flew back from Germany to Peru, and they were looking over, and she was, like, pointing out to her husband, like, that's where it was.
Wow.
That's where I lived for 11 days. Yeah.
That's insane.
Like, that's incredible.
That's got to be, like, an amazing man, too, to be able to give her the support that she needs.
100%. 100%.
That's got to be hard, especially with, like, nightmares and night terrors and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't imagine what she goes through at night, like, just closing her eyes and practically reliving.
Something that powerful and impactful has got to be so ingrained in your brain to the point where she probably finds herself, like, literally finds herself there sometimes. Like, she probably imagines it's still happening and wakes up expecting to still be there.
Yeah. Like, when you, like, have those stupid dreams where you're falling and you wake up and you're like...
Yeah,
like,
literally.
I can't imagine the things
like
that she... Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I have just stupid examples of, like, waking up screaming before and stuff like that, but it's like, I can't even...
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's just like you space out thinking about, like, what she had to go through.
Yeah. Yep.
That's insane.
And she, like, says, too, she's like, I had no idea, like, sitting in the airport that day, how much that day was going to change my entire future.
Yeah.
It's like, gosh, that's...
Yeah, looking back at, like, before it happened.
Yeah.
Like, even seconds before it happened, while she's just, like, flying along, doo-doo-doo in the
She
plane.
said, too, and this is another quote I actually kept out, but she said, too, that, like, as soon as they saw, like, the storm clouds and, like, heard the thunder rumbling as they were, like, coming up on that storm, that she said her mom, like, in a joking manner, was like, I hope this goes okay, is what her mom said.
Wow.
Yep. It's like, that's awful. And, yeah, and she said her and her dad's, like, relationship never fully recovered after that.
Really?
Yeah. She said, like, obviously he was happy to see her, and she was like, I will never say a bad thing about my father. She was like, I love him, and he's an incredible man, but she was like, he was, like, I don't want to say resentful or mad, but, like, the fact that she came back and not his wife.
Yeah.
Like, they said that, like, he said it in a way, and I don't remember exactly how it was, but he said it in a way where he wasn't meaning, like, he would rather have his wife over her, but, like, he would rather have both of them than just one.
So, ungrateful.
Kind of.
That's shitty.
Yeah, and she said, like, there was always, like, a bit of tension in their relationship from there
That
on out.
sucks. As if your daughter didn't go through enough. Are you kidding me? Literally, the greatest creation you ever made, your daughter, and you treat her like... Again, things... Who knows? Things could be taken
in a
out of
way,
context.
I'm like, I kind of get it from his... Like, I can't imagine for weeks thinking that they're both gone, and then she shows up all of a sudden, and then he's also like, yeah, I'm excited to see you, but how's, like, my wife?
Yeah.
The lady that I've spent my entire life with.
Yeah, I can't imagine the pain he had to suffer through, too.
And it had to be a lot, and trying to recover from that, like...
Yeah.
But I agree, he should not have taken that out on her by any means.
That sucks. Yeah.
So, yeah, that had to be...
Yeah, you should be holding on to her and just being so happy and so grateful.
Grieve together.
Yeah.
Grieve it together, not on your own.
Yeah, I mean, you get people that are like that, though. Like, in times of struggle and hardship, they push what they got left away rather than holding close what they should still be grateful for.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
100%,
People just take things differently, I guess, and that is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
But again, the media thing bothers me also. Like,
yeah.
that sucks.
Oh God,
And,
I can't imagine.
And I understand her, like, not wanting to say anything because, like, especially with something like that happening, she's like, no, fuck you guys.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Just like the physical and the mental trauma of that, and again, like losing her mom, and then also seeing, like, she talked about how she had, like, never really seen a dead body before, and then to see him like that, was just.
And they got it. I would imagine they're mangled.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah.
Like, with falling through branches and things like that. Like, that's incredible that she was able to survive.
Yeah. Here, let me pull up for you the picture of the plane crash afterwards.
And, like, sharing, like, when people come to her and ask her about things like that, that kind of, like, even though it's, like, a extremely traumatic in a totally different way, reminds me of Sinisha's story, where, like, the struggle of talking about that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because
and how many years
people don't want to believe it. Yeah, exactly.
How many years later, he was still getting choked up over that too.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine.
Yeah, to make this a standalone, like, my episode number 90. That one is.
Listen to it.
That one is the hardest episode I've ever had to record because it was interviewing somebody like that face to face right here, and to hear the story from the source, it was just so powerful and so incredible. And like, yeah, we had to stop the recording twice.
Yeah.
Just because of like he was struggling to.
Yeah.
Like, just like. No wonder why people just you gotta close off, because it's like
like, and it's crazy because like I was thinking, like, when I was like, oh my god, she's in Munich, like me and Doug are gonna be planning our honeymoon, and we're talking about going to Europe, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna go to that library because it lists the library that she works
really?
at. I just didn't say it because I don't think that people need to
that's probably a good idea.
necessarily know. It doesn't need to be a huge like well-known thing, like leave her alone, but
leave the poor girl alone.
Right? But at first I was like, oh my god, like I would love to meet her. Like, I would love to. Like, after the story,
again,
I'm like, I look up to her, like, so much. And I'm like, I would love to, like, go to that place and meet her. And then I heard that part in her book, and I was like, God, I could not do that.
Because
like,
everybody, I'm sure, has the best of intentions, like you. And they're like, oh my, she's incredible. I would love to meet her. And then they go meet her, and then, like, do that. And then it's exactly
bring back
what she
those
doesn't want.
horrendous memories. And she's like, fuck this. Like, I never asked for any of this.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that's terrible.
That's the whole part of the plane that.
Oh, wow.
That they recovered.
Dang.
Yeah. So, like, again, like you can see in that picture, that whole right wing is completely gone.
Yep. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's been sitting for a while before they recovered because there's rust on it.
Yep. Yep. And then there's another photo, actually, and I can screenshot it, too, and save it.
And with all the water from the rainforest, too. So.
Yeah, true. And there's another photo. I can try to find it again, and it's her, like, kneeling down next to the seats that she was in.
Oh.
Like,
wow.
They went back and they found, like, where she
actually landed.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's,
oh, wow.
Right? And the seats are, like, mangled to hell, too. It's like, looking at those seats, you're like, it, like, without knowing the story, if I looked at those seats and they were like, somebody was in those seats when this plane crashed, I'd be like, they didn't survive.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible.
How difficult that must have been.
Yeah. And she was a kid.
Insane.
Like, she talks about that, too, in her book as well, where she was like, I was a kid. She was like, I missed out on so much. She's like, I was a regular girl as far as I saw, you know, other than, like, living in the jungle, but...
Yeah, because it's like this experience, and then what happens afterward, like, it just ruins her, like, the entire life, because now it's like, that changes every decision she'll ever make.
Yep. Yeah. She was, like...
Psychologically, just devastated.
I'll screenshot that one, too, so that if you want to post that as well. But, yeah, she was like, she, like, specifically says in her book, she was like, I went out with friends. I went to the movies. I did all the things that teenagers did. And she's like, and in a blink of an eye, that all changed. Everything changed. She's like, I lost the whole rest of my childhood. Everything.
Yeah.
You know.
With the flash of a lightning strike.
Yeah. Just one little thing.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And you can, it's easy to say that too, like one flash of a strike, but also for any situation to happen, there's a series of events. Like all the events that, like, there's a lot of things beforehand that shouldn't have taken place, especially by that.
Yeah, that's why I needed to put, like, that whole backstory in the beginning, too. I started with that, which typically I don't get into all of that other stuff. I go right into, like, the case or whatever we're talking about. But, you know, between, like, her living in the jungle there, all that background on that whole, on LANSA Airlines, you know, like, the thing with how her dad was like, don't go on that. And he was literally saying, my wife knows better than to get on LANSA Airlines. Like, she would not do that, but she wanted so desperately to be back with her husband the next day for Christmas.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like they really loved each other.
Yeah.
At least from that. And he was probably resentful because it was like, I told you so kind of thing.
Yeah.
but still, that's no excuse to treat you. Well, I can't figure out. 'Cause it's like,
Yeah.
really?
Everybody's gonna grieve differently.
Yeah,
I get it,
I
but
get-
it's
yeah,
like
you're right.
not being in that situation. It's hard to judge from an outside perspective.
You're absolutely right. Like, we can't.
I can't imagine the emotions he went through.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you know. And yeah, that was also like she said again in her book too, like she said that her friends would come over when she was younger and they would comment on how well her parents like jive together. They were like, we've never seen two people love each other and be like so perfect together as your parents were.
Oh.
You know.
Yeah. So,
like that had to take like his whole heart away.
Yeah.
And again, he was literally for weeks grieving both his wife and his daughter, and then to
Yep.
like totally 360 and be like,
yeah.
she's alive,
Wow.
but Maria's not, and
Yeah.
like yeah, it's just
The
a roller coaster.
Yeah.
A
Literally.
roller coaster
Yeah.
of emotions.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't even think about the part of being like, I told you so. You know, part of him is probably
Yeah.
like, you know,
You could have and should have avoided this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're totally leaving out the rest of the families impacted from all the rest of the
yeah, no,
rest of the deaths.
100%.
Especially to find out, like, could you imagine finding out, like, yeah, they were on that plane and they're all missing, and then finding out, like, oh yeah, your loved one actually survived for a period of time.
Yeah.
Like you said 14 survived the crash and then passed away later.
Yeah. But imagine if it wasn't in such a canopy of trees and those planes were able to find them, more people probably would have been able to be saved.
Yeah.
You know, and then another thing too was Juliane said that she, like on the memorial, she didn't really know, obviously didn't know anybody on the plane other than her mother. She didn't know these people. And she went back to the memorial and she saw that there was two sisters on the plane. So somebody had lost both their daughters, and one of them was 15 and the other was 18.
Wow.
And then there was another three that were three. So somebody lost 3 daughters. She didn't say the ages of those in her book, but
Wow.
so I'm assuming that the 15-year-old was the youngest on the plane because she specified that age. But somebody else had lost 3 daughters in that crash as well, because there was three there. But
Wow.
yeah,
I can't even imagine. That's horrible.
yeah.
Well, thank you for all of your research. That was a very detailed research episode.
Yeah.
You did an amazing job with that.
Thank you. I was proud of that one.
Yeah.
So I did a lot in that one.
Yeah, I can tell. That was very well done on your part.
Thank you so much.
Tragic story, but you did a very good job
Yeah.
at portraying it.
Tragic, but I think it's a story that needs to be heard
It
more.
needs to be, yeah. As soon as you brought it up, I'm like, yeah, that's an incredible story that needs to be shared.
I had a lot of, you know, I want to say fun, you know, in a way,
Yeah, in a weird
researching
way.
this in a weird way. This is the first book I've read since high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
I haven't read a full book cover to cover since I was in high school. Granted, it was on Audible, so it wasn't like,
Still
you know,
counts.
still counts. Some people say it doesn't. I think it does.
Yeah.
But it opened up a new love for reading again for me. So I think I'm going to kind of get into some more of these research topics that I've had kind of in the back burner. So
That's awesome. It does count still, because the point of a book is to take in the information, and it doesn't matter which way, if you're using technology or not. If you're using a reading lamp at night reading, you're still using technology in taking a book, because the point of reading a book is to just get the information into your head. And if listening to an audiobook or listening to somebody read it to you is the way that you get that information in, then good for you. It's just all that matters is just the fact that you take that information in, the information in the book. So you absolutely did read it. So that's amazing. I love audiobooks too.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for all of your research. You did an amazing job.
I have some more in there, and if anybody has other topics that they would like me to cover,
Yes.
let me know. Sam.
Yeah.
Sam. I'm working on a Betty and Barney one.
Yep.
At some point, I'm going to get into that one.
That one's gonna be good.
I know we chatted a bit about that, so.
Yeah, because we weren't very specific beforehand, so when you texted me, I'm ready for another episode,
Yeah.
I was just like, are we doing the Betty and Barney Hill
Yeah,
one?
and I was like, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. So that
That's
one
gonna
will
be
be
good.
on there, but
Okay, cool.
if anybody has any recommendations or anything that they want to hear
Yeah.
be covered.
Yeah, you could comment it on anything, and any of the posts on my Instagram, or you could comment on this episode's show notes or whatever.
Send a message to
Yeah,
Brody
DM us or stuff.
me
Yeah.
or somebody.
I'll have both of our Instagrams on the description. So.
Because I'm more than happy to get into some interesting topics again.
Yes. And we'll also put the book title in
Yes,
the
I will
show notes
absolutely put
also.
that in there.
So if you forgot it, then
Yes, we
You
will
can
add
see
all
it.
of that
yes.
information.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Steph. Love you very much.
Of course,
I'm
love you too.
so grateful that you'd swim over the Titanic for me.
All right, yeah, of course would.
I would do the same for
I'd
you.
swim over it 5 times.
Dang.
Yeah, I know. Maybe 4.
Well, I love you so much, and thank you so much for all of your
Of course.
insight and research.
I love you too, and I love you listeners, and thank you
Yes.
for listening to this whole episode. I know it was a little long, but
It's a good one.
I think it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a really good one. All right. If you like what you're hearing, 5-star review. Tell somebody about this podcast, and that's the best way to let this podcast grow is let somebody know. So send somebody your favorite episode or whatever you want to do. But
This episode.
yes, this one specifically. Send
Yeah.
this to
Send this
everybody.
episode.
Everybody send this episode to
Everybody you know.
everyone you know.
Like-
Five people, and then all those 5 people send those to 5 more people, and then it's
And then
just a
every single one of those people have to like, subscribe, comment, share.
5-star reviews.
5-star reviews. All the things.
All the things. Do all the things.
Do them all. Please and thank you.
Yes. All right. Rock on and peace out. See you next week.
Peace.